greatest real estate investment show ever. Here's the flip-flop investor himself, Todd Bayer.
Everyone, welcome to the Flip-Flop Investor Show. I'm Todd Bayer, your host, the Flip-Flop Investor himself. This is the Flip-Flop Investor Show, where we get together and talk about real estate investing in the Inland Empire every single week. And every week we like to bring on a local expert or somebody who's new in the business. But in this case, we have somebody who is an expert in construction, but also in being an investor himself, and also is the 2017 recipient of the Flip of the Year award. Yay. Which, yeah, that's a big deal. You know, there's only one given out, and you were the Flip of the Year. So welcome, Danny Ruiz. How you doing, Danny?
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you back. Actually, this is like the third time you've been on the show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So. For those of you that have been paying attention, every single week or every single month, we're having a theme that we're trying to stick to. In January, it was goal setting, and goal setting was our theme in January. And then in February, we're doing business planning. So business planning is sort of the act of getting your business together and starting off your business. So, Danny, you've built a couple businesses lately. So, you started out, you built your contracting business.
That's right.
And you're doing that since 2012, right? Mm-hmm. And so doing construction, and now you're building your real estate investment business where you're doing some flips and things like that. So I guess we could jump in and talk a little bit about the process on how you sort of formulated the plan. I know your dad was a contractor, so
that's right.
Building a construction company, you probably had a lot of the basics already in mind, right?
Yeah, he was a contractor, and I got into the business with him, just kind of helping him out on certain projects, and then it was kind of like, hey, we can do this together. So we started working on different projects, and then I went and got my license, and we formulated a company, Wave Construction, and then we worked all the way till he retired, and then I started my own entity in about 2012, and been plugging along with that ever since.
Now, like when your dad retired, I mean, were there things about the business that he did that you always hated or something? You were like, when I start mine, I'm not going to do it that way or anything like that?
Not necessarily. He was always really like the visionary and the confidence bringer to the table.
Okay.
So if there was anything that I wasn't really sure about, he'd be like, "No, we'll figure it out," or "Let me call this guy," or we'll get it done. So there was really like no project he couldn't take on or we couldn't do, whereas when I started doing it on my own, it was a little bit like, "Ooh, I don't know if I can do that," or
yeah,
where's Pops to help you? Let's just get it done type of mentality.
Right. Any crazy projects you guys worked on?
Well, I can remember our first tile job that we did took us about 3 weeks to do a bathroom.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty nutty. He's such a perfectionist, and it was just like, we didn't really know how to exactly build a shower pan or how to do the layout, so things just took forever. So, but we were never really afraid to get into stuff. So that's kind of how I learned, is hey, do you guys know how to do, steel stud framing? Sure.
Yeah.
No, we don't. But we learned it on the job. We learned as we went.
Yeah.
So a lot of the trades, I was able to learn that way. He knew a lot about how to do all the stuff already, and so I kind of learned how to do tile, learned how to do framing, learned how to do doors, things like that, painting, and how to do it, how not to do it.
Sure, and you're pretty meticulous, so you got that from your dad, I would imagine.
Exactly. He used to drive me crazy. He'd be over there with the level, and just like everything had to be perfect with him. So that's kind of where I got that skill set. But it's a good skill set. I'm glad that he was able to teach me that.
Definitely. And even before we got started, I noticed you helped out by fixing off our little our cabinet thing over here.
It's still a little bit low. We got to adjust it.
It's not too bad.
I ran out of time.
I bet the people on the show, if they're looking at it, anybody's watching live right now, you could see the cabinet behind us. It was the one on the right here was a little bit low, but it was, I see it every day.
Yeah.
Coming in my office, and I'm like, okay, yeah, but what am I gonna do? If I were to have tried to do what you just did, I would have made it worse. So I'm glad you were able to do something with it. So I appreciate that. But yeah,
anything to help.
I know, and nobody else would have noticed it. Nobody but Danny and me would have noticed this thing, because it's just you have to have that eye for detail, and you do. Right. So, all right. So going into the business planning again, I guess when you're building your business, I guess you sort of already had a business built for you, and that's sort of the way construction is for a lot of guys that I've talked to, where they already worked for a contractor. Like all the processes are already sort of laid out. You already sort of know how to, check on your projects, and you know how to, delegate certain tasks to different people, and all the paperwork that goes into it as well. Like, did you have to like reinvent the wheel anywhere along the way to start your business?
Well, it's being a construction worker and then being a construction business owner is two different things. So, like Michael Gerber talks a lot about on your business, in your business. The auto mechanic doesn't make the best auto mechanic company. But
Yeah.
so that was kind of things that I had to learn, switching into. And I kind of realized it more. I was never really super excited about being a contractor and growing a construction business.
Okay.
It was maybe more means to an ends. I'm very hands-on. I like to be creative. I like to build things, but I never really was excited about being a contractor. So when I started getting more committed into doing real estate, that's where I found where my passion fell. And so I actually started to implement things on the real estate side that I wasn't implementing on the construction side. But then as I implemented these ideas into the construction, it crossed over and helped my construction business. So I'm like, wow, that's cool. So I can do this on the real estate side and set up systems over here and then just use that same type of mentality on the construction side.
Yeah. So that's, obviously you're more working towards the investment side now.
Correct.
So on building the business there, I know you're part of the accelerator group,
That's right.
through the Inland Empire Real Estate Investment
Yep.
Club, and that was good. But I mean, we don't give you anything. That's the funny thing. Like as far as the accelerator goes, and we don't really give you anything other than just sort of like we're here.
Yep.
So when you need us, come see us. Set a time, obviously schedule
Sure.
it out. But that's. We didn't tell you how to set it all up or anything like that because it's different for everyone.
Right.
And some people are more hands-on. I think in the beginning most people are hands-on and
Right.
probably should be hands-on.
Yep.
Where if you're doing a rehab or something like that, you probably want to be on the site just to kind of get an idea of how things run, and you might even swing a hammer or two and do some of the work yourself.
Exactly.
Which I know you did on your first deal.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
but now that you're going into you're on your second deal now
Correct.
that you're
Yep.
working out in, is it Palm Springs?
Palm Springs, yep.
Yeah. Are you still swinging hammers as much? Or are you?
Not so much. I haven't really done much of any swinging of the hammer. I do spend still quite a bit of time on the project, making sure things are going right, working with the designers and working with my partners, things like that. But for the most part, trying not to work on the project is something that I'm striving towards.
Yeah.
That's definitely important.
And then are you trying to schedule out like how you run a job, and then also schedule out your calendar as far as every Monday, this is my thing. I need to always, write up 20 offers or something like that. Do you have like a schedule of things to do every single day of the week?
Well, it's funny how like starting out from transitioning from construction into trying to just get into more rehabbing and becoming an investor, real estate investor. I think everybody kind of formulates this idea in their head of what they're going to do in the real estate industry, and I've noticed that everybody, after being in the business or striving towards something, you kind of get into your zone, into your lane. So like you can see where, one of our members, Charlie, he's very good at networking and wholesaling, working with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And, certain people tend to lean more into that area. Certain people tend to lean more into the rehab side. So I'm finding more myself going more into the rehabbing side. Not so much even looking for deals myself, but finding other people that have deals that want to joint venture and partner and creating an opportunity that way, because I can bring value in a different way.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's obviously a lot of people, get into this business. They, last week were, working in an office doing clerical work or something like that, and they have no construction experience. So
That's right.
to have somebody, and it's a big one, because that's something that will definitely kill your confidence when you get into when you're looking at a potential deal and you're like, okay, I can buy this house. They're currently offering it for, let's just say $200,000 to buy this house, but there's
Right.
the wholesaler's telling me the rehab is going to be $15,000 or something,
Right.
and you're thinking, how do I know how? Like,
Right.
if you don't know anything about construction, there's
It can be really tough, definitely.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I know for me, when I did my first one, I knew absolutely nothing about rehabs and construction. I knew nothing about the costs of anything. No clue. But fortunately, Steven had a little bit more of an idea than I did because he had kind of a construction background. So in the very beginning, I leaned very heavily on him to help me determine a good rehab budget to set on a project. After a while, though, we got good. After you walk enough homes, and you kind of get an idea for, okay, we need to replace 10 windows in this house, one slider. Like, you can start kind of picking costs out of the, and you can start writing them down real quickly, and write down a good line on a budget. And then after a while, you get so good that you don't have to walk into the house. You just kind of smell the outside, and you know how much it's going to cost.
It's between 60 and 70.
Yeah, exactly. So you're that side for somebody else.
Correct.
But the people that might be bringing deals to you, how are you cultivating those relationships?
Well, so, I did a lot of initially MLS searching, did some door knocking, and my last few deals have been from just networking, meeting people at meetups. The first deal that we did together, I met at a luncheon. A wholesaler had a deal that he needed to get rid of. So it actually came way of a motivated seller, but it wasn't a motivated homeowner. It was a motivated wholesaler that had the deal, and he was going to do something with it, but then the person that was going to do it fell out, and so now he needs to get it sold before his time frame runs out. So there was some motivation there. And then the last deal, I met Todd and Harry from R Squared Properties at an OC meetup, and I just happened to be sitting right next to them, and they're like, "Hey, you're Danny, contractor. I've seen your YouTube videos, and do you ever work with contractors? Hey, would you ever, you want to look at a project we're working on?" And then we just started talking, formulating some ideas, and they wanted me to come in on a project with them. So Todd takes care of looking for properties, and Harry secures the financing, and on this deal I'm project managing, bringing the construction side of it. So we're able to package a deal at a certain number where the rehab is like, okay, this deal makes sense with this rehab cost, and so what can we do to maximize the value of the property for this number, and so we can make it work. Versus if you're just kind of having to get bids from contractors, you might not really know what your number is, so it makes it a lot tougher.
Yeah, and they can definitely range range widely. I know sometimes, like right now, contractors are busy.
Yes, very busy.
It's tough to find guys right now. There's a lot of people working in the space, and it's tough to find guys. So we've actually had some contractors lately that have overbid just so they don't get the job.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny. I can't believe anybody would ever do it. Like, why not just tell me I'm not going to do it? Like, why go through the trouble of writing up a bid?
Right. You know what the bid's supposed to look like, and all of a sudden from the same person you're seeing, it's like almost double the cost. But things are definitely getting busier out there. I've noticed a lot of my old clients are starting to call me up and want to get stuff done on their properties, want to get stuff done on their businesses, and so I've noticed that things are picking up a little bit out there.
So on your construction side, everything's going pretty well on that side, I would
Everything's
imagine.
going good. Yeah, everything's steady there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of manageable, under control. And
sure. Now, do you so with the construction side? I mean, is it just you? Is it like a sole proprietor type thing where you're every single department within the organization, or do you have like a bookkeeper, or do you have all these other people that you've brought on?
I'm a small sole proprietor in terms of that. I do have a bookkeeper, CPA that I'm transitioning working with for payroll and things like that. But basically in the past, contractors are usually just one-off businesses. Maybe their wives help or their girlfriend helps, or you might have a bookkeeper or something like that.
Yeah, I know. Contractors are just notoriously bad about getting over paperwork and invoices and things like that.
That's probably the biggest hurdle for most contractors.
It really is. Like you're like, hey, look, if you want to get paid, I have no problem paying you, but I need an invoice. I can't just pay you, because I need some kind of proof that you're asking for this money.
That's right.
I'm not going to pay your taxes. I'm sorry. I love you, but
Yep.
Yes, that's always the hardest thing is contractors. And I'm like, just get somebody. Hire like your niece or somebody to come in and just do something.
Give them your papers, and here you go.
Just make invoices. That's all you have to do. And there's so much software out there for these things too now.
Yeah.
So, but that's a lot of times it's like you got the contractor who's really good with he can build you a house, but you sit him down in front of a computer and he's like, okay, where's the Q button?
That's right.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny. It's hard to find somebody that has a good blend there.
Yep.
But are you trying to grow your contractor business, your construction business?
No, I'm not. I'm really not trying to grow my construction business. I'm almost 95% growing the real estate side of it. It does incorporate construction to the real estate side. So in terms of growing the construction side, if it's incorporated with the real estate side and the rehab side,
Got it.
that's so I'm not looking to take on outside clients, but I'm looking to build my business to support the real estate
Got it.
entity side of it, which helps on a lot of different levels in terms of if there's an entity structure set up, it's easier to get funding if the company is actually part of a group, part of a structured entity.
Yeah, it can help.
Definitely.
And then, so I guess for anybody out there listening that needs a contractor, don't call Danny, not for that. But if you got a deal you want to joint venture with him
Exactly.
on, he's definitely interested in doing that. So,
Right.
yeah, so come meet Danny at all the meetups and stuff like that are all
There you
around
go.
Southern California. Are you pretty much going to like
Yeah.
most of them? I know you go to the Inland Empire Real Estate
Definitely go
Investment
to
Club.
the Inland Empire Investment Club is the fourth Wednesday
The fourth Wednesday
of the
that's
month.
right.
They got one coming up here.
We do next week, the 28th.
All right, yeah.
Yep,
So
February
definitely
28th,
be at that one.
Wednesday night.
Especially since I won the Flip of the Year, I get a free membership.
Yep,
so
you get to come in for free. So
I'm never missing, not a single one.
make it worth it, huh?
Absolutely.
Man,
Can I send somebody in place of me? No.
No, I don't think so.
That
Yeah,
doesn't work, okay.
they didn't earn the award.
There you go.
Send your proxy. That's pretty funny. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you can go to another meeting and they could go to that, and
Yeah, so I do like to go to as many meetings as possible because it's always good to learn. You always get good positive input from the speaker. You get to network with people. You never know who you're gonna meet. So if you're looking to do more deals, then I mean, you should be going to all these meetings as much as possible.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's funny because we didn't really start blowing up as far as our business goes until we started going to every single club basically that was worth going to
Right.
in Southern California. We hit some months we were going to 16, maybe 18 of them a month, and it got exhausting. It was pretty tiring because you're
is
working a
very
full
tiring.
day, and then you're going out and you're staying out at night. And sometimes these things are out in LA, Orange County, Pasadena, places
Right.
like that where us being here from Riverside, after the meeting you still have to drive all the way home.
That's
and then
right.
go to bed and all that. So we're going to bed at 11, 12 o'clock sometimes, and
Yeah.
having to wake up at 6 and start the whole thing over again. So
No, it's really tough, especially for people getting started. They don't really know what their path is. They don't really know what direction they need to be going in. So you just have to put as much energy in that direction, and your plan's going to adjust, your goals are going to adjust, everything's going to always be adjusting until
Yeah.
you find your lane and figure out what that lane is.
yeah, and for me, like I don't know exactly what it's like to be somebody who doesn't have any real estate background or any real estate knowledge becoming a real estate investor. I don't know what that is like because I started out my mom being an appraiser. So, I learned a lot from her, and I didn't start becoming an investor until I'd already worked in the industry for a couple of years.
Right.
So it was, it was pretty, it's tough for me to understand where people are when they come to a meeting. This might be their first meeting they've ever been to.
Yeah.
Like they heard it on the radio, they heard it on the news, they heard it somewhere that, flipping houses is a big thing. Maybe they watched one of those TV
That's
shows,
right.
or something. They thought this is cool, and then they found the meetup, and they came. Maybe they listened to a podcast. Maybe they've done something, but a lot of people may not have done anything. So
Yeah.
they're kind of coming just to put their feelers out and see what's out there.
Yep.
And I don't know how to bring them in, but what would you recommend to somebody that's like that? That's maybe they're working a job, separate industry, doing something else entirely. And this is, aimed at the person that's driving home from work right now, probably sitting
Sure.
on the freeway listening to the radio show.
Sure.
Like somebody like that wants to get into this industry. What are some things they could do in your mind that could get them prepared to be an investor?
That's a good question. I mean, there's so many things that that a lot of people can do, and one of the things that has really made the big transformation for me is just being around other people that are doing real estate, trying to find those people, seek those people out, and just associate with them as much as possible, just absorb as much knowledge as possible, try to stay away from paying big dollars for stuff.
Sure.
Because the people that are charging the big dollars for stuff, their business is just trying to get your money. Yeah, they want to help you. There's a lot of good value there. Don't get me wrong. And a lot of people come through the real estate community through high dollar coaching and high dollar teaching. So it's not
Yeah.
it's not terrible, but there's probably better ways to do it.
Yeah, I know those big expensive courses you're talking about where you'll get the postcard in the mail that says come to our event and you get a free iPad for the first 50 people or stuff like that.
I've been to those. I've been to several of those.
Yeah, and those, I'll say that going to the free version of that, going to that and just listening, because it at least gives you some idea. They do get you motivated. They get you excited and pumped up. And you get to meet other people there that are maybe already into it for a little bit.
That's right.
Maybe some of that. So you can potentially meet some good people at those. But my recommendation would be not to spend any money at those things.
Right.
Unless you feel that what you're getting out of that is going to be worth it. Because it can be, in the 5-figure price range.
Oh, definitely.
Some of those.
Definitely.
I've heard prices up to $80,000 people have paid, and it blows me away because I'm thinking $80,000. If you have that kind of money, you already have a leg up from everybody else, in that you have cash.
That's right.
To get into a deal.
That's right.
So many people come into this industry without money, and you can do deals without money. It's entirely possible, but it's a lot easier if you got a little money sitting around.
Absolutely.
Because being able to put down the earnest money deposit, or being able to put money down when you're working with a hard money lender, like most hard money lenders aren't going to lend you the entire project cost to be able to do the purchase, the rehab, all that.
No, you still have to have out-of-pocket money.
Exactly. So being able to afford the rehab, being able to afford the closing costs, and you have to make payments on that loan.
That's right.
Those are things that if you have some money, use it on that, because it'll make it so much easier than trying to find somebody who's willing to partner with somebody who's never done a deal before, because that's scary.
Yep.
It's scary to work with somebody that's never done something in the industry.
That's right. Yeah, so part of the job of somebody getting started is to identify people in your area, because real estate is a very local business for the most part. There are people that do out-of-state real estate investing, but real estate in a whole is a small community of people. So first find out who's doing deals in your area, and start meeting people that are actually doing deals, and then who do you have rapport with, who do you connect with, and then try to figure out a way to bring value to that person, whether it's, hey, let me get you your coffee every morning, what do you like to drink, can I go look at houses with you, and then maybe I can look at stuff that you can't get to. There's probably everybody in this industry would never say no to somebody that wants to be involved with them like that. Or some people might have a structure or a system set up.
Yeah.
I know you guys are working, with a lot of different people, and you have different structures in place. So there's ways people can come right now and plug in and get instant support. It's just a matter of being out there and asking the questions.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's tough.
Very, very valuable.
Yeah, we've had, obviously a lot of people propose different things to us. People have offered to come in, like, I'll come in and do filing for you. And it's like, okay, we file like one file a week. Like, it's not that difficult to do filing. Like, I'm not trying to turn people down to be mean or anything. It's just like, I have no need for somebody to file anything here. Like, you're not saving me any time, and it's creating more of a hassle for me. But, there is something we are trying to work on, like a little intern program where people that want to like learn the business, kind of work inside the office here, and we can find a place for them to do a bunch of different stuff, so they can kind of get a full spectrum of the, of the whole process. Something we're working on. We haven't really solidified yet how we're going to do that, but it seems like something that would be really valuable for people.
Absolutely.
And we may even make this kind of like the accelerator program again.
Nice. Where
we might make it more like an internship type thing, where you're interning, but again, it's most people are trying to learn on their own and trying to learn for their business purpose. So if it gets tricky. So we're trying to figure out how to structure that, because I know people want to kind of like see how the inner workings of our organization is, and it would probably be beneficial for some people out there. But you just have to figure out a way to make it work where it's not taking too much time away from us and being able to focus on the business. That's the hard part.
Right.
So, but you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. You start latching on to some people that do this already, because that's who you're going to learn from. Those are your mentors, and
that's the key.
And if they have a certain, set of skills, like maybe they're good at finding the deals, maybe they're good at talking to sellers, knocking on doors,
Sure.
Or evaluating property, looking at rehabs, like determining how much construction cost is going to be.
That's right.
Maybe they have a lot of relationships that, might be beneficial. Somebody like a title rep would be a good person to know, because they know a lot of good escrow people, a lot of good agents. They know a lot of that good stuff. So you can, it's important to build your team, build your network at first.
Most definitely.
But then what?
Well, there's two processes that have worked for me. The first process was I went to the Camp Transformation Center, and a lot of people have heard about it. Yeah, the fat camp, the fitness thing. Yeah, fat camp, right? So
the camp.
You pay $500, and your goal is to lose 20 pounds. If you lose 20 pounds, they give you your $500 back.
Yeah.
Or you can put it towards your membership, whichever you want to do.
Okay.
Most people put it towards their membership, so it's a win-win.
Sure.
And so I've kind of always been that type of person that struggles with weight control, and I'd never really been able to figure out a way to commit to actually losing weight. But as soon as I joined and I paid the $500, man, I was committed.
Yeah.
I mean, I was serious because I didn't want to give it that $500.
No.
Plus, I wanted to be healthy. So it's getting yourself to do things, setting up a scenario to where you normally wouldn't do it. How do you structure your life to where you're almost in a position where you're gonna do it because of the structure you set up. So I was at the meeting, one of the Inland Empire meetups. This was probably about a year ago now, and you guys had just announced the accelerator program where you put up $500 and you got 6 months to get a deal. If not, you lose your deposit. So everybody in the group was really motivated to get a deal for one.
Sure.
Because we all want to get a deal, but it's just if you're not really motivated to lose something, you may not put as much effort in it as in terms of just trying to gain something. So when you have something that you're going to lose if you don't do it, that's a little bit more motivation. And that really drove me day in, day out to show up here, go to the meetings, talk, go this person. I mean, you're going in 100 different directions trying to find a deal in that timeline. So you have a timeline, you have consequences. You're going to do it. You're going to make it happen. And if you don't make it happen, I mean, you're still going to learn a ton. And you're going to do it all over again. You just try it again.
Yeah.
That was a very valuable, method that works for me. So I'm doing it. I'm going to do it again. If you guys do the accelerator,
you're
I'm going to do it again for sure. Well, if it was 2,000, it would be even better because then for sure that would motivate me more now than 500. But
that's kind of what we were talking about.
Pay more.
We only had maybe half the people in the accelerator program actually do a deal. The other half, half of those people dropped out, and the other half just didn't get deals.
Yeah.
So we're considering actually increasing the deposit amount because $500 is a lot of money to a lot of people, but in this industry, $500 is pretty small. It's pretty minuscule. Right. So we've talked about actually increasing it to something a little bit higher, maybe like a $2,500 or something.
Yeah, that would be really
something like that where it's like, oh man, I really do not want to see $2,500 go away.
Right.
I'm going to bust my butt to make this happen because it's even for me, $2,500. I'd be like,
it's a hit.
I don't want to lose $2,500, especially if I could have just done something every day.
Yes.
Just do it for an hour. I mean, 30 minutes.
Yes.
Do something because it's just showing up.
Yep.
I thought that's like 9/10 of this business is just being present, being around people, and if they see you, people start seeing you around. They're like, hey, I see you at all these other meetups. Like,
that's right.
Eventually, the people that aren't talking to you in the beginning are going to seek you out and say, hey, I've seen you coming around for a while. Who are you? What do you do?
Right.
And that might be the person that's going to lend you money on your next deal or something like that.
That's right.
The people that have the money are the hardest ones to get to. Sometimes they're the shyest ones in the group. You have to.
That's right.
They have to really get comfortable sometimes to come talk to you because they're they're like the really hot girl at the bar. They don't want to
exactly.
They don't want to put it out there too much that that they're interested in dating someone. But
that's right.
So yeah, a lot of people are really nervous to approach them too. They're really
absolutely.
But everybody wants what they have.
Yeah, I would love to plug into that system again for sure.
Yeah,
2,500 would definitely. There's some real specific goals that I have that I would just plug in. Like I want to try and acquire a rental property, either a fourplex or duplex or even a mobile home.
Yeah.
Get into just holding the note and having that as a stream of income, or just to gain some cash flow and interest accruing on your money. So those would be some things that I would just be like, oh, great, I want to do this. I want to do this thing. Let me plug into that, and okay, now I'm going to do it. Now I know I'm going to do it. Versus like every day you get up and like, yeah, I really want to do this thing.
Yeah.
What is that thing? And having partners helps you kind of do that thing too. It's kind of the same. If you have somebody that you're working with and you set up a goal with them, and you're like, okay, what's our goal? What's our deadline? You guys are both working towards that.
True. Yeah.
And kind of hold yourself accountable.
Oh, absolutely. Accountability is key.
Yeah.
And if you're working independently, which a lot of people do in the beginning, and being able to hold yourself accountable is the hardest thing to do.
Yes.
Because especially if you got a little money coming in, you're like, I don't really feel like waking up this morning and
Right.
getting up and doing it. Then you might it might be a little bit lax. So you have to. It's tough to be able to motivate yourself to keep pushing yourself forward. Especially if it hurts, if it's painful, if it's difficult. When things get really complicated, sometimes it's even more difficult to motivate yourself.
Absolutely. But I mean, at the end of the day, the payoff is really good. I mean, I had no idea what the spreads were as far as profitability on rehabs. We had a 6-figure profit on our rehab that was amazing. And
Yeah.
I had no clue what that number should or shouldn't be. It was just like, oh, that's every deal should be like that, I guess.
Exactly.
But
please, yeah. I would love every deal to be like that. Please.
Every deal should be like that. But no, those are definitely big game changers. So
Yeah.
it's worth all the pain and agony,
Absolutely,
to get
yeah.
through it.
The early mornings, the contractors, their subcontractors that are calling out and saying they can't make it that day, and you have to change your
Absolutely.
schedules around sometimes. Yeah, I get it.
No, and another thing as far as like, business planning, and we're talking about how to get to where I was thinking about like jotting down some stuff the other day, and I was, if one of the ways, if you're not really where you want to be, if you look at where you're at in your life, if everybody in your life is not happy with you, you're probably on the right track.
Yeah, exactly.
Because most people in your life want all your time. And so when you're not giving them your time, you're focused on your business, you're focused on trying to get to your goal. Not everybody's trying to always get to a certain place, but if you're a little bit more stable and you have your systems worked out and your business worked out, then more people in your life are happier that you're able to spend more time with them. But for sure, trying to get over that hump, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of hours, and you can't be delusional about how much time it really does take and how much time it does take away from maybe your loved ones sometimes too. So that's a good indicator if you're putting in the time, is if people are starting to hate you a little bit.
Yeah, if your friends are calling you like mad,
Friends
you
are
haven't been calling
calling you,
them for a
haven't
while.
calling them, and your significant others, not happy because Saturdays are not, can't go to the movies anymore on Saturdays because you got to work. Maybe Sundays you might want to take a day off. But
Maybe, it's tough in the beginning because you do, like, especially if you're excited about it, you want to put so much effort into it. And it's, I still love this business. I love every part of it. So it's hard for me even now today, even though I'm
passionate about
like, I love doing it. I would
don't
be
wanna
here.
stop.
I'd be here all day, every day, and have no problem with that whatsoever. But I have a family. I have other people that want to spend time with me, and I want to spend time with them too.
right.
So it's like it's almost like I have two loves in my life.
That's right.
And I got to cheat on each one of them at one point during the day. Like.
But your life is good on both spectrums, and it's not
Yeah.
work because you're passionate about what you're doing, and
Yeah.
and you take a break from this and you get to spend time with other people that you're passionate about. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, but it's tough sometimes. It's tough to shut off either one of them at times. Like where you might bring your home life to work with you, and you might bring your work life, home with you, and sometimes you're like, my mind's not here right now, and it's hard to sometimes shut one of them off.
That's right.
Especially if it's it's not like everything's always perfect on your personal side, and everything's not always perfect on your business side. So. Sometimes those negative things that are happening, those problems that you're trying to address, they kind of bleed over, and it's tough to make, the balance and how to devote your time there. But it's important to focus on those when you're having issues on either one of the sides. There's a time where you have to say, hey, we're good over here for right now. I need some time to focus on this over here because I got this going on. So communication about what's going on both sides is key. I know with here, if for example, Steven was just going through some things with his girlfriend and her family and everything. So they were, that was something that I have to be a little bit understanding that, they've got some stuff they're going through. So, they're fine. It's nothing to do with their relationship. It was just some family related issues. But that's something I got to be understanding and say, you take your time, do what you need to do.
Pick up the slack, and then that takes time away from stuff on others' ends that you have to. But I mean, you guys make a great team, so you really pick up each other. And help each other out. That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's why we have a partnership, because we are both capable of running every aspect of this business independently of each other. So if he needs to go on vacation, if he has to handle something, it's fine. I can just handle what he needs to do, for the time being. And if it's only a couple of days, usually it's not that big of a deal anyway. Most people will be understanding, and they can wait, But for us, sometimes it can extend into a couple weeks if you take a vacation or something. So then you really do have to do the other person's job.
Right.
So, but he's got his couple days, so now it's going to be my turn next. I get to say, hey man, it's my turn.
Back and forth. That's
Yeah.
great.
I think I'm going to go do something today. No, I wouldn't do that to him, but it's nice to have that sort of balance. Yeah. But you do have to focus your attention on one or the other. Sometimes you have to say, hey, look, I promised I would never work a Saturday, but
right.
I really need to go in on Saturday. I got so much paperwork I need to process, or I got a stack of bills that need to get paid. And it's going to take me 3 hours just to go through these things. So sometimes, it happens, and people have to be understanding on both sides. But, in the beginning, I know you want to focus all your time on the business because that's right. Exciting. It's something new, But,
I think about your point about communication is everything,
It is.
And if you can have somebody that's understanding of that, that's very helpful, for sure.
Yeah. I know, like with me, because, my wife, she's a very 9 to 5 type person. She has, it's like, your mornings we we get together, go to work, come home, dinner, go to bed, repeat,
right.
Monday through Friday, that's our routine. Then Saturday, Sundays for family. That's just, that's the way we've kind of structured it. But it's kind of like, all right, that's important to her. It's important to me too. And those are really the only logical times because the kids are in school, so it's like, all right, I guess I got to kind of structure this business, which is not a 9 to 5 business.
Right.
I got to make it work for me in a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday window.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that happens on the weekends in this business, and I'm not a party to it.
But, hey, you're able to create that structure and make that work. That's awesome.
That's what it took. It took, you had to kind of think, how is this going to work? How can I make this work? Yeah. Like I want to be able to take weekends off and not work Saturdays or Sundays. What do I need to do to make sure that I can do that and still not neglect the business? Right. So, you have to have people that are willing to work Saturdays and Sundays, and you bring them in to basically fill in for you.
Right. And I think that kind of ties into what you're talking about from the business planning side and the lifestyle design side. It all has to work together. So, you wouldn't be happy if this business required you to be 7 days a week, 24/7. Mm-hmm. So, you're almost designing your business to coincide with your lifestyle that you like to live and your lifestyle that coincide with your business. So that's part of. And people just think, well, how does my business need to look? How does my business look? Well, how does your life need to look? Like how do the people in your life need to interact with your business too? Because that's part of it.
Sure.
If you're just focused strictly on your business, nobody in your life's gonna be happy. You're not gonna be happy because you're gonna get to the goal line by yourself, and then big party and no one's there.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. I know.
There's really no goal line, anyways. It's just a big long process of evolving.
Yeah, it's weird when you're in this business because like if you work for a company, you work there for 30, 40 years, you have this retirement plan in mind. You have this plan to like retire at some point, and then I don't exactly get what you're supposed to do at this point, because apparently that's when you're supposed to do all the things you weren't able to do because you were working, I guess.
70, you can't walk.
I know, that's the thing. You have hip problems, you're fat, and like how are you supposed to go enjoy all these things you were missing out on, like go hike, go climb Mount Everest at age 70 or something. I don't know. So I sort of, I don't see myself really retiring from this business. There'll probably come a time where I just spend less time in it, but it'd just be sort of managing my properties and, helping, probably bringing more people in to run stuff at some point, rather than me just all out saying, that's it, I'm never stepping foot in this building again. I'm never, never going to look at everybody here ever again or anything like that. I don't see that as being a reality in this industry, unless you really just end up hating it and you're like, I just want out. I'm selling all my properties off. I am just done. That's retirement, I guess.
Well, I mean, as your company evolves, you can see it. In your company, you bring on people to kind of replace you, and then you're able to leverage, and then you're able to focus more time on the creative side, growing the business, or taking on other ventures, or just being able to spend more time with the family and take trips and things like that.
That's exactly what we're doing.
Have that cash engine, the cash flow churning, and then you have the cash flow to be able to support bringing in other people. And that actually multiplies the amount of the profitability. It's hard to see that when you bring in people to help that you actually can make more money. You want to just think like, I can do everything and make more money, but it doesn't always work out like that.
No, not entirely. Yeah, because there are people that will do there's tasks that take a lot of time that people will do for, a smaller wage, obviously. Like if you think of yourself, let's think of it this way. If you want to make $1 million in a year, you have to make $500 an hour if you're working 40 hours a week. Right. So if you think of yourself, my salary is $500 an hour. That's my salary now. Yeah. So if you want to start doing the sweeping of, if you want to go and sweep your properties, and go and do all the cleaning stuff, when you can just hire a cleaning crew for $400 or something like that to come in and do a top to bottom scrub of the whole place, and you're there sweeping and scrubbing countertops and stuff, you could have paid $400. They'd get it done in less than an hour, probably, if there's a couple people doing it.
That's right. And
here you would be there all day by yourself trying to do it, and you saved yourself $400, but cost yourself, however much a whole day's worth of work is, which would be $4,000 a day, is what your salary is, and you just basically lost $3,600 right. by doing that yourself.
Yeah, I remember you had mentioned that in one of the previous podcasts.
Yeah,
that really resonated with me. Like, is this a $500 an hour job? And then if you look at the things that have produced the most value in your business, and the things that don't, like, do the things that produce most value. So for me, if I'm going out meeting people and networking with people, those are the most high dollar value things.
Oh, absolutely.
So I should be spending as much time doing that as possible, because those two opportunities presented themselves, and I can put a dollar amount to that, and I can quantify the time that I've spent.
Sure.
So if I just keep doing that, then I'll just keep producing, the opportunity.
Sure. And you never know too, with somebody you meet, that could be somebody you end up partnering up multiple times with for the next 10 years. And
that's right.
that one thing you did for 3 hours that day,
right.
Yielded hundreds of thousands of dollars in results. And so that's why, meeting people and, really just like bringing it all together is the job of the real estate investor.
That's right.
There are people that do all the other stuff. There are people that don't have dreams of being a real estate investor. Right. And it took me a little while to realize that, right. For a while, I'm like, man, like, why do these guys want to, install doors and windows? I don't understand. Like, why don't they just want to do this? Like, this is so much easier. In my mind, I guess it's easier. Right. But for them, like, they don't have that. They don't have that desire. They don't want to do that. Right. You talk to some sometimes, and they're like, oh, I don't want to take on that kind of risk. Right. I don't want to be playing around with hundreds of thousands of dollars of other people's money, and what happens if I lose it? And some people freak out about it. So, I'm not here to tell them to do this. I'm not trying to like be an evangelist and say like you need to become a real estate investor.
But so you probably were at some point thinking that everybody wants to be a real estate investor, and everybody should.
Yeah, and I also thought like everybody was out to like take me down. Like I'm their competitor or something. Like they're just they're gonna screw me over in the end or something like that. But there's a lot of people out there that actually have a really great work ethic and really love what they do.
That's right.
Like a lot of the guys that do the construction work for us, they love what they do. Absolutely. They love every second of it. They love doing the framing. They love the drywall. They love painting. Like they love it as much as I love doing this business. And we all just sort of make the whole thing go round. So
sure.
We're all like we keep bringing deals in. They keep working on them. Like it's steady income for them.
Yeah, it's all part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
The cog in the wheel.
Exactly.
That part to play.
So yeah, it took me a while to sort of like kind of give up the reins a little bit and like not try to do every single thing. But I also started to make that realization that I'm spending a lot of my own time doing these things that other people could do, for a lot less money, where I could be spending my time doing a much more high dollar kind of activity, like meeting people and actually looking for deals and doing that kind of stuff.
I guess the hard part is trying to decide when to stop doing that stuff, because in the beginning we all do everything.
Yeah, well, and it's good. I still think it's a good thing because you need to learn it all. Because how are you going to train somebody to do it for you if you don't even know how to do it? Right. So, I guess I'm kind of that way where everybody should start from the bottom and work their way up to the top. I guess I do have that mentality to some degree, even though I hated it when I was like out of college trying to like get a job, and I didn't know why they didn't want to hire me as a VP. Like, come on, I know what I'm doing. I can figure out anything. I know, I knew nothing, but I knew that I could figure it out.
Right.
But they don't have that kind of confidence. They don't know that about you until they put you into some kind of position and see what you're made of. But yeah, I was never given those opportunities to to prove them wrong, which is my favorite thing to do, is prove people wrong.
And I guess it like we've probably heard it many times. Even you probably heard it in starting when you first started, back in the day. Like, you need to start handing off this stuff to people. You need to start doing this. You need to start doing that. But so you're constantly hearing it. And at some point, you listen and you actually implement it, and then you're like, and then the light bulb goes off. So you kind of do it when you're ready, and then you wish you would have done it sooner.
Yeah.
But at the end, as long as you keep moving in that direction, I think you're in good shape.
Yeah, it's tough because sometimes you don't see the investment that you're making by bringing somebody else in. Like sometimes you're like, I see this as I'm going to be spending $45,000 a year hiring this person to do this thing, but like for me, I'm like, that's a deal and a half. I have to do a deal and a half a year. Like, when you start thinking about it, you're like, is the time they're going to be saving me worth the deal and a half? And that's kind of the way I started looking at it. It was funny because I had Bruce Norris on, and he said that's the way he thinks about it too.
That's right.
Because it's like you always think about it in terms of like deals. If every deal is $30,000, let's assume you're making $30,000 on a deal. Like, is it worth $30,000, or is it worth a deal and a half to bring this person in and help out? So we tend to look at things that way quite a bit, which is funny, but. That's just the time to make it worth it to bring them in.
So yeah, I mean that kind of brings to mind, talking about as soon as you have the money to solve the problem, then you don't have the problem anymore. So that's kind of another way to look at it. Like if you have money, you should not have any problems in terms of, financial obligations, not obviously personal relationships, because that doesn't help you anyway. But just having the money, and then how do you quantify spending that? A lot of times if you think, man, I'm spending $45,000, like you were saying, I got to get a deal and a half, or one deal just to cover that. But then, what's one more deal, right?
Yeah, it's, after a little while you have that confidence where you can say, like, okay, I'm certain I'll be able to get another deal and a half.
Yes.
If I'm saving myself literally 10 hours a week, if I can devote half of those 10 hours a week, I'm certain I'll get another deal and a half in a whole year.
That's right.
Like that's the thing, is when you start thinking about it in that way, you can think, okay, like, I'm confident in my abilities to make this happen, and but it is an investment. You're bringing this person on, and they're expecting you to be a steady paycheck for them.
Absolutely.
And you're putting yourself in that position where you're responsible for this other person. So I know in the beginning I tended to kind of goof around a lot. There was a lot of time I spent. I took 3-hour lunches. There were times where I didn't work certain days. I just I would take extended vacations and stuff like that, because I guess to some degree I'm also like sticking my middle finger up at the corporate world I didn't want to be a part of anymore. I just hated it so much.
Right.
I didn't want to have a job. I didn't want to work for anybody. So when I was finally working for myself, I was a little bit easy on myself. I wasn't so hard on myself. But I then got a partner later on who was a very experienced business person, had a lot of experience with construction, with real estate and stuff like that, and he was also the money guy. So he definitely tightened the screws on me a little bit,
for sure,
to perform as his partner. Because I wasn't his employee, but at times it felt like he was being like my employer, and it angered me sometimes. But I'm like, no, but we're partners in this. Like I'm just not pulling my weight, So I gotta perform harder. So he really got me to sort of tighten up and realize all the things I'm doing that I need to cut out. Like, do I really need to be out for 3 hours at lunch with my friends? If I'm going to spend that kind of time, 3 hours, maybe I should be out with a client.
Yep.
Taking out somebody who potentially might be a borrower or something like that, because it was a lending business.
Yep.
So, that's where I started making that shift in my mind, was, really from having somebody holding me accountable to myself.
That's right.
Initially, then eventually I learned to become accountable on my own. But yeah, in the beginning, it was pretty funny. Looking back, I'm like, oh my God, like, why did I waste so much time? Because I could have accomplished so much more.
For sure.
But
you may have not had as much fun either. So
true.
It's still balancing all that out.
And this business is fun. It's a fun business.
It is fun.
And a lot of the people we get together with, like, it's not like we're just serious 100% of the time. And, can you quantify when you're working with other people in the business, can you say like, oh, we're just out having a good time. We went, go-kart racing not that long ago. Like, is go-kart racing with a potential client or maybe a past client that we've worked with, is that going to yield results later on down the road? Was it worth the $500 an hour,
Right.
Loss? Who knows?
Yeah.
But at the end, it's something fun to do, and it might yield some kind of result.
Yep.
So, it's tough to say what's going to work, what's not. But I think by being a fun group, at least people like to work with us. It's not
Absolutely.
as, we do work hard when it's time to work hard. We do, obviously focus
For
very,
sure.
very intently. But when it's time to, maybe cut loose a little bit, we
like
cut
to have
loose a
fun.
little bit.
Definitely.
So,
Yep.
but I mean, is that basically how you guys run your construction crew, and like how you want to run your business? Or are you trying to like build it to be like how are you trying to build it?
Well, it's definitely integrated. The construction business and the real estate investment
Yeah.
business is integrated. I think a lot of people that get into the real estate investing world, myself included, we want to break away from corporate America, and we want to be our own boss, and we want to create an opportunity for ourselves that's unlimited and there's no cap.
Right.
As I start to learn more about real estate and the true benefits of it, I think ultimately we all want to get to a place where we have a certain amount of passive income that can sustain and support our lifestyle. That's really should be kind of a driver for most people, because whether you're flipping, whether you're doing fixing cars, whether you have a construction business, those are all businesses. But if you can somehow at the same time look at ways to build the passive income through different businesses or different products or different properties, things
Sure.
like that, that's kind of the main thing for me that I'm trying to think about moving forward, is growing the business and build the residual income from rental properties, or just at least start with one. So I have a goal to get a rental property within 6 months, and whatever that looks like, I don't know yet, but that's going to be. And so at the same time, I can have that goal, but then I can also have the goal of building a rehab company that actually produces a monthly cash flow.
Have those multiple streams of income.
Multiple streams of income. Definitely multiple streams of income for sure.
Yeah. So, we did talk about it a little bit earlier, and we're running short on time. So, I guess we'll start bringing up the Inland Empire Real Estate Investment
Absolutely.
Club to let all the good folks out there listening right now wondering, how can I meet these fine gentlemen, and how can we become a part of this real estate investor network and get to know some of these people? You need to go check out the Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club. That is the club that we run, and we have a lot of great members, a lot of attendance, but we put together, right now we have 3 meetings going on every single month. We have a 4th one planned that we're going to be doing a big networking kind of thing once a month. That's not solidified just yet, but in the month of February, we are going to be doing our coffee meetup, our Saturday morning coffee. That's coming up on Saturday the 24th. That'll be at Lift Coffee Roasters number 2 in Riverside on Chicago. And that one starts at about 8 o'clock in the morning. It is Saturday morning coffee, so we do get together at 8, which is, I know, early for some folks. You want to sleep in on Saturday, but you got to make those commitments. You got to do these things. This is where the people will be, and we get a lot of good people at that meetup. So definitely come check out that at Lift Coffee Roasters number 2 this Saturday, the 24th. And then next Wednesday on the 28th, we have our big monthly meeting. We just call it the main monthly meeting. Is what we've always kind of called it. The main meeting. That's where most the people come. That's where we have the biggest attendance. And that one, we have a $30 door charge because they don't let us rent the room for free. So we do have to pay for the room. But the $30 is well worth it. I'm sure Danny
Absolutely.
can attest to it. But we do that at the Loft 84 in downtown Riverside. That's on the corner of University and Lemon, I believe it is. I can't remember. I think it is Lemon, University and Lemon. But you can find out all the information you need on meetup.com. Look up the Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club. You can go to iereic.org. That's iereic.org. And look it up, or just go to Google and type in Real Estate Investment Club. Will be the first result. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the Flip Flop Investor Show. We'll be right back again next week, Thursday, 4 p.m. Have a good week, everyone. Take care.
Nutrition Labs is featuring 2 key support agents for promoting cardiovascular and circulatory health: Delta Tocotrienol and Quantum Resveratrol. Buy 2, get the third one free. Call 888-588-7578 or visit us online at qnlabs.com.
Hi, I'm Dr.